Here are my top 5 tips for an ESL or EFL teacher interview. So the first tip is even before you apply. Make sure that you read this job description really well. So does your job involve teaching kids? What country is it in? What are the hours? That kind of thing. And make sure it's actually a good fit for what you want. There are a million ESL teaching jobs out there in the world, so don't even apply for the ones. Like, for example, if you hate mornings, it would be crazy for you to take a teaching job that's like, teaching adults at 7 a.m. Or if you do not like teaching little kids, don't even apply for those jobs. Just stick with kind of what you're more interested in, and then also the countries that you're more interested teaching in. The next step, once you get an offer of an interview, is to do a bunch of research about that city and about that school. So you can ask on places like Reddit. There's like usually Facebook groups for people who live in that city. You can just do a quick Google search, that kind of thing. And usually you can find someone who's taught at that school or is currently teaching at that school to kind of give you the rundown on, what that job is all about. So for the actual interview itself, be sure to wear professional clothes. I'm not a good example right now. Don't wear just like a random t-shirt. Actually wear, like a nice shirt and a tie, or if you're a woman, like a nice blouse or whatever. Do your hair, do your makeup, whatever you need to do to kind of look professional. And I know even though it's probably on Zoom, don't necessarily wear your like pajama pants or whatever, just like look professional, because then you're going to feel professional during the interview. All right, the next tip that I have is that you will get asked about your qualifications and experience related to teaching English. So the best tip I can give you is to talk about relevant qualifications and experience. So if they are asking you, so what are your qualifications? You need to list things related to teaching. So you don't necessarily need to list things like, I did this landscaping course and then I did a photography thing, like all of that. They actually don't care. They want to know about teaching. So for example, maybe your experience with kids, if the job is with kids, maybe you took a first aid course and you're teaching kids, maybe you did a CELTA or a TEFL course, you have a university degree in English or linguistics or whatever, something like that. Then experience, kind of same thing. If it's a job for kids, give your experience teaching with kids, but don't necessarily talk about how you worked at the library and then you did a lawn mowing business or whatever. They actually don't care. So just think relevant is key. So the next question that I often get asked in English teacher interviews is how I deal with unruly students. So just think about it, and then I'm not going to tell you the answer here, what you can say, because it depends on your own style of teaching, but have an answer prepared for how you deal with kind of students who don't want to learn English, students who are not listening to you, that kind of thing. You'll often get asked about what your teaching philosophy is. So do a bit of research about that and kind of just have a short answer prepared. Nobody wants to hear you ramble on for 5 minutes about teaching philosophy, but I would say have 3 or 4 sentences of kind of your basic principles of how you like teaching. The next thing is people might ask you how you do professional development. You could talk about some books that you've read recently, or maybe you've attended some conferences, maybe you read a bunch of blogs or listen to a podcast, or you've recently done a TEFL course or something like that. Another question that often you'll get at the beginning of the interview is, please introduce yourself. So if someone says introduce yourself, they don't actually want to hear you talk for 5 or 10 minutes about it. They want maybe 30 seconds. So you could say your name, and then maybe where you're from and how many years you've been teaching, kind of your educational background. So just kind of give a brief summary of the highlights of things that are relevant to the job. The final question you might hear is, they might ask you how to plan, say, an ESL speaking lesson or ESL reading lesson. So kind of have the basic framework of that in mind. And I would even almost just do a little sample lesson, a simple thing. So, and print that out and have a handout ready to go. So if they want to see that, then you just are totally prepared. Okay, so those are all my tips for an ESL, EFL teacher interview. I hope you found that helpful. Please hit like, subscribe, and catch you next time. Bye, everybody.